Hey everyone, Richard Robbins here. Hope you're doing well. The numbers are in for the Calgary Real Estate Board for the end of September, but also the end of September is the end of the third quarter. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And by the way, just these slides, you can download these slides if you want to use them in a presentation on our website as well. And there's something that I want to spend some time on today that I think will help you become a much better communicator when you're working with a potential buyer, potential seller. There's two main numbers that as real estate sales professionals I think we should be most interested in. The first one is this. The first one is the number of sales, because let's face it, if we do 3,000 sales, and then if we do 4,000 sales the next month, just as an example, I'm just picking random numbers here, that means 3 to 4,000 is 25% more. The pie is going to be much larger. The amount of real estate agents aren't going to change that much over the course of a 30-day period, which means there's more opportunity. So as a real estate sales professional, I think we're very interested in the number of sales. However, the consumer is probably even more interested in the average sale price. Now the question is, can the average sale price go up if we went from 4,000 sales down to 3,000 sales? What do you think? It could. But that's what most people don't understand. So what's really interesting is when you read a lot of the press, what they put into the newspapers and on social media and everything else, is it's sort of like it's got to bleed to read. They're trying to find the negative news. So quite often they'll talk about, sales were way down. But that doesn't mean prices went way down. And I think this is an important message we got to learn to communicate to the consumer, if you're working with a buyer, working with a seller. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So if we look at these numbers, here is January through September. We give you this every single month. You got sales, you got active listings, months of inventory, average price, and days on market. Now, if we look at this, you can see that, really that when we look here in terms of sales, you can see March hit almost 3,000, and then we went up here to 3,200 in April, which, by the way, 3,200 is the best month that you had throughout the year. But March, April, May, this was over 3,000, and then you can see we're both, getting close to the 3,000 mark there. Now, months of inventory, if you take your amount of sales and divide in to the active listings at the end of the month, that'll give you your months of inventory. And you can see your strongest market here in terms of pricing happened right here, your 1.9 months of inventory. And of course, look at this, you went from 485 to 505 to 509. Low months of inventory, prices go up. So that's what I mean that sales can actually go down. So if we look here, 2,989 sales, right? And your price actually went up slightly. Why? Because our months of inventory was down and very strong. If we go to here to September, you did 2,162 sales, and you can see you're sitting at 2.6 months of inventory. So it's gone up a little bit from when we're in the spring market. It actually went down a little bit from August, down from 2.8. Now have a look at this. This is a line graph I created for you. And the easiest way to figure out, and I'm going to suggest that you should be using this type of visual when you're doing a presentation. Because see, if we're sitting here in January, you got 1,208 sales and you got 4,044 listings, you can see that we've got more months of inventory than we do when we get here to March, April, and May. Do you see that? This is where you get down to 1.9. So what you got to do is understand is that generally the closer you see these lines getting together, if you were to graph all of this, you're going to know which way your prices are going, because that means your months of inventory is increasing. So it's a really cool visual to start showing buyers and show sellers. Now this here is the amount of sales that took place over the last 3 years in September. So in 2019, we did 1,371 sales. We went to 1,700 last year. Now last year, remember, we had COVID. So really, middle of March to, April, May, almost into June, it was pretty slow, and then it took off. Do you remember that? So we did lose 60 to 90 days of active sales, which normally we would have had, but then it picked up the rest of the year. But look at this. We're at 2,162, so that's 27% more sales took place this September opposed to last September. Good for realtors, right? Because that means the pie is a little bit bigger, but that number doesn't always determine price. And that's what's really important to remember. If we look at this right here, this is sort of cool. And what this does here is this shows you actually from January to September, the first 9 months of the year, how many sales took place in 2019, 20, and 21. We had almost 13,000 right here, 11,704, down a little bit, obviously lost a few months because of COVID. But look at this, 2,106,692 sales in the first 9 months. That's up 84% from last year, which means as a realtor, as a sales professional, your pie is much larger, created many more opportunities for you. Here's some I put together for you, and this is a great visual, I think, for both buyers and sellers. This is the average price over the last 9 years. So you can see back in 2013, you're sitting about $455. You know, went up, went down a little bit, then went up, stayed about the same through 16 and 17, dropped off a little bit in 18, obviously the same in 19, same in 20, but you can see it punch back up this year because remember, your months of inventory has been lower than it has been in the last number of years. We're now at 476, and this is to the end of September, not to the end of the year, so chances are it might creep up a little more, but we're starting to get back up close to that 480 where we had spent in 2014 and also 2017. So anyway, I hope this was all helpful for you. Remember, what I was trying to do was help you communicate maybe a more effective message to buyers and sellers, because your job as a salesperson is to give them all the information to help them make an educated decision that will best serve them. And remember, everybody, it's a beautiful life. Make it count.